Go in the studio. Hello, everyone. It is Mr. and Mrs. MAB.
Hi. Good evening. Give me 1 second.
No intro music or anything because we don't have that figured out yet.
Sorry, I had to shut the door.
Deal with it.
Dog is driving
Hey,
me crazy.
Luna. Kathy Banks. Sidekick. Can I kick it? Grandma's
Hey
on.
guys, so I can't, oh, sorry, honey.
Pat
I can't see the
Gaines.
chat, so I'm going to rely on MAB to say hi to everybody. But hi, everybody. We had to tear ourselves away from Team Rose to come over here. So hi to everybody. Hi, Team Rose. Hi, Paper Cut Tina. Everybody that we were listening to over there. That was great. That was fun. So you guys probably notice it's just us. Paper Cut Tina decided to step down and not join us for our lives. And that's okay. She's welcome back whenever she wants, but you're stuck with us tonight. So
Silent J, what's up, brother?
So how is everybody tonight? It is freaking hot over here. We're in California, so Monterey Bay area. Our average temps for the year are about 68 to 72 degrees, except for Indian summer. So today it was 80. I guess that hurricane down in Baja area sent us some rain, sent us some thunder. So we all know we have. So this morning, so weird. So the dog sleeps on the bed. He gets up, tells me he has to go to the bathroom. I'm like, okay, fine. So I let him out. I go into the kitchen so I don't wake up Mr. MAB, so I can get some water, and I turn the faucet on and get some water, go into the bathroom, do my thing, and I hear the dog like whining and scratching and like freaking out on the back door. And I'm like, what is he doing? And I open the door, let him in, notice that there's rain, which is kind of weird, but I'm like, all right. I let him in. He jumps on the bed and he is terrified. Terrified, shaking, trembling, panting. And this is what he does when we hear gunshots and like 4th of July and New Year's Eve. I mean, a lot of people's dogs do this. And I'm looking outside and I'm like, what was out there? Like, what is he freaking out about? And for like an 7:30 Sunday morning, right? So I just get up with him because we can't sleep. And I get on Facebook and I realized that there was thunder this morning. So there must have been a clap of thunder right when I turned the water on in the kitchen. So I didn't hear it, but the dog was outside. He heard it. And
now tell him about the history of Lucas and how we got him.
That was our 7:30 Sunday morning wake up. So Lucas, he was, we had 2 labs before and they both passed.
2 white labs that I had bred twice. Roxy, she had 10 puppies the first time and 11 puppies the second time. The second time I kept one, and it was named Baby. She growled at you when she wanted you to pet her. The funniest thing, she was the scrawniest one, and she'd always get kicked off the milk, so I had to like force her in there and pull the other puppies up. And so I kept her. But they both died of, what is it? Spleen cancer.
Baby had spleen cancer. Roxy had some kind of abdominal thing, but it was like, it was 6 months apart. So it was just devastating.
Yeah.
And MAB said, I want a puppy. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want a puppy. Like, puppies are way too much work. But I looked into it. I was going to get him another white lab, called the breeder. They wanted $3,500 for a female white lab with breeding rights. And I'm like, I'm not spending $3,500 on a dog. So I asked MAB, I'm like, well, let's rescue. Like, my mom rescued a golden retriever and he was like, you know,
I was still hurting from the loss of Baby and Roxy.
So we waited.
You know, remember I was resisting getting another dog, and you found that dog on Facebook or something that was going to the pound next day, And he talked me into going and looking. And I said, I'll just go look. I'm not promising you anything. And this dog comes running up to us and latches onto us. Like, he had 3 ticks in his head. He had sores on his belly from being on concrete and both elbows. So he had been locked up for 3 years in a kennel because the guy that owned him, the construction worker, was a hunter. And he trained Lucas as a hunting dog, but he never acclimated him to gunshots until he took him hunting. And once he took him hunting, the first gunshot, Lucas pissed his pants and, freaked out. And so he threw him in a kennel, and that was it. And when we got there, he had another dog in another kennel that was his new hunting dog, and Lucas was just going to get sent to the kill shelter. And that's what led us up to going up and seeing him.
So yeah, they let him out of his kennel, and he runs around and he runs up to me and he sat on my foot, and I'm like, we're taking this dog. So we've had him for 7 years. He's almost 13.
We rode home and his face was right on my face the whole time.
He is the best dog, but poor guy, is so terrified of loud noises. I had to drug him up this morning. And anyway, that was our morning. That's our dog. So, I think Mab's gonna try and find him. So, this is a pseudo true crime channel. Like, we're still getting our feet wet here and deciding what we want to talk about. And, true crime, usually when you think of that, you think of, oh, there he is. Hang on, we got to give some time to Lucas. There's our boy. Not quite. Oh, you can't see him. Well, you guys saw him a little bit. So, if food is involved, he will be there. When people think of true crime, they think of violent crimes, against humanity. And yes, that's very interesting. And I think we're kind of a rare breed, even though there's a lot of people that like it, but you got to kind of question yourself. But anyway, there are other true crimes out there that don't necessarily involve people injuring each other. And what happened in Maui,
Lahaina, suspect,
is very suspect. So we hear about the fire. We hear about the hurricane fanning the fire. And you guys know I am a dental hygienist, so I talk to people all day long. And I had a guy in my chair that, so we're just chatting and we start talking about it. And he's like, oh yeah, I've got 2 buddies in Lahaina that are firefighters. And he said that the firefighters were at the fire when it started. It was totally controllable. And they had no water pressure. This is what he told me. They had no water pressure.
The guy in control of the water.
Wait, hang on.
Go ahead.
We'll get there.
All right.
And
It's Mrs. MAB show.
And so the fire burned, and they didn't have enough water pressure to put the fire out. And then finally, when the water pressure issue was fixed,
it's too late.
Something exploded. This is what this guy told me, which is from his firefighter friends, and flooded that area. And so a lot of those homes were flooded because of the fire department, and it wasn't their fault, but it got flooded from the extra water, which kind of doesn't make sense. I can't verify that, but that's what this guy told me. So I came home, told Mab, and I'm like, this is really weird. Like, why? That's very suspicious that they go to fight a fire and there's no water pressure, because we have our thoughts on some of the fires in California and how they were sort of burning out of control for a long time. So we decided to do a little research, and turns out the water district people in Lahaina refuse, or in Maui or Hawaii, I don't remember exactly.
It's an agricultural district that controlled the water, and they refused the request. Sorry, my face is still fucked up. Refused the request for water until it was too late.
And not only that, but another YouTuber, and I'm sorry, I can't give him credit because I don't remember his name, interviewed a guy named Fish in Lahaina. And I guess this guy Fish is like a little legend in Lahaina, and he makes hats next to some store, and he sells these hats, and he's lived there off and on for 40 to 50 years.
40 to
He
50
said,
years.
so he lost his house in the fire, and he was walking along the main street.
No, I don't think he
in
lost
Lahaina.
his house. He lost his store, but not his house.
Okay, my mistake. I'm sorry. But he was walking along Front Street, and the cops, and so they're telling people to evacuate. Oh, and that reminds me, they have a tsunami warning signal
Siren.
there. That so it's a tsunami warning, but it can also be used for other emergencies. And the police department, I believe, right? The chief of police decided not to sound the tsunami warning because he was afraid. Come on now. He was afraid that people would think it was a tsunami and that they would run for the hills towards the fire. So they decided not to do any kind of public warning system. And
the sirens are specifically for some tsunamis and fires and wildfires. So they just didn't do the sirens. That's one thing. The other thing is that a police officer was blocking cars from coming out on Front Street. There was a whole line of cars that was not moving, according to Fish. And he walked up to the police officer and said, "What are you doing? Why are you not letting these people out? The fire is right behind them at Safeway." And the guy said, "I'm just acting on orders." And there was no traffic in front of him, so he just kept walking to his house.
And he said he walked, I don't know, a couple
Then he
miles.
started hearing explosions, which I assume were cars.
And he said there was no obstruction. There was nothing in the road. There was absolutely no reason why these cars could not drive away from the fire. So the chief of police gave orders. I'm assuming it's the chief of police to.
And let's walk back a second. This chief of police is the same chief of police that was in charge of the Las Vegas chief of police when they had the Las Vegas shooting, if you all remember that. Same guy. Somehow gets to Lahaina, or Maui or Lahaina or whatever, and he's only been there a short time, and this happens.
And he's not answering questions from concerned citizens or from
Wouldn't
the news.
even look at the camera.
Huh?
He wouldn't even look at the camera when they were
I thought you were talking to me. Sorry. And so these people are just stuck in their cars as the fire's raging. And this patient that I had in my chair told me that the people that lost their homes are not going to be allowed to rebuild because the area is considered toxic from the car batteries, from oil, from whatever. And I'm thinking, when is that ever? And there's real estate developers already, like, this is only a couple of days old, and real estate companies are calling people trying to buy their land so that they're not rebuilding there. So it's like, what's going on over there? What are they trying to do in Lahaina?
15-minute city.
Yeah. I think
You know what
that's
that
what
is?
they're trying to do. You guys know what a 15-minute city is? Have you heard about that? So the 15-minute city idea is having people live in an area where the circumference of this particular area is 15 minutes from point A to point B, anywhere around this circle where all of your needs are met in this 15-minute city radius, so you don't need a vehicle.
Lila Mama just became a subscriber. Thank you.
So you don't need a vehicle. So this is the whole, at least in California, they're trying to get rid of gas vehicles by, at first they wanted to do it in 2024, and then they realized, okay, wait, that's too soon. So I don't know what the date is now, but there are so many people on the road that drive gas vehicles. There's no way we're all going to go out and buy electric cars, because they don't even have the infrastructure set up for that. So there's no way. And I'm sorry, I just bought my car.
The cost to make the batteries, the energy it takes to make the batteries, and the electricity to charge the batteries is worse than the exhaust from the cars that are on the road today. It would put out more pollution trying to make the electricity for the charging centers that they would need to have all electric cars. Just doesn't make sense.
Right. And there's a couple of Tesla centers in the area. Like there's one in Monterey.
Fremont factory.
And so they had a huge fire. So that's one thing. And those batteries they don't last forever, and they're difficult to get rid of. Charging stations, like around our area is rather affluent, and it's rather small. Like we don't live in a big area here. And when I go grocery shopping, when I go to the mall, when I go wherever, I rarely see charging stations. And if there are there's three. There's 3 charging stations at Safeway, or there's 3 charging stations at the mall that I go to by my office. So you have to have one in your house. You have to have one in your house. Yeah, you have
to have one in your house, and you can only go a certain distance.
So I don't know. We kind of digressed there, but it just, when this thing happened in Lahaina, and you start kind of looking at everything, it's like, what? It doesn't. It feels suspicious to me. Like something is off here.
Yeah.
And it's really scary, because we've had a lot of really, really horrible fires in this area in the last 5 years. I mean, the one, I think it was last year, was actually in Santa Cruz County, which is where I grew up, burned a huge area of old growth redwoods in the Santa Cruz Mountains. I mean, hundreds of people lost their homes.
Remember that fire I had to drive through to meet you for dinner?
It was like our second date. Yeah.
Our second date.
He drove.
I said, I'm going to be there, and I had to drive with them on my Harley with my cop-looking helmet on, with my flashers on, because the freeway was closed, so I was driving down the back road that fronts the ocean, and they saw I was the cops. So everybody pulled over for me, and I made it to the date.
Yeah, I tried to cancel because I'm like, there's no way you're going to make it out here. There's a freaking fire. Like the roads are closed. You made it. Here we are, 15 years later.
Still in love.
So, yeah, that was what I wanted to talk about tonight, was what I think about Lahaina. And I know it's fairly new, and there may not be that much information out there, but prayers to anybody and everybody that lost their property, lost their lives. I think there's still people missing.
There was also locals who had supplies ready to go in and help, and they were blocked by FEMA from helping their own people.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw videos of that too. Stacks and pallets of stuff ready to drive in. They blocked them all. If you were not Red Cross or FEMA, you couldn't go in there.
So that makes sense, because I read an article in the newspaper that we just got about how a lot of the island catamarans and the local, the fishermen and the water sports companies all stepped up and went and got supplies. I don't know where they got them, where they were dropped off, and brought those catamarans up onto the beach. And they had like an assembly line of volunteers getting food and water and supplies off of the catamarans to get to the people in need. And so that makes a little more sense why the locals had to do all of that instead of FEMA. Wow. But yeah, I mean, just looking back over the last number of years on the fires in our area, I mean, yes, it's dry here, but I don't know. There's been some really, really devastating fires that.
Well, the fires in Canada,
Oy.
if you look at a satellite picture of those, they all started at exactly the same time. And there was like 15 of them.
It's terrible.
Yeah, so something's up with that. I don't know if it's agriculture, eco-terrorism, or whatever it is. But 15 fires don't start independently exactly the same time. You can see it right there on the satellite view.
Wow.
All right, Tutti Frutti. Good to see you, Luna. Hey, Tony. Tony the Tiger. Hey, Short Legs.
Hey, Short Legs.
I know, they were incinerated, Short Legs.
But I did hear, so I'm a cat lover. We have a kitty. He's under the bed right now, but they rescued 38 cats from Lahaina and brought them to a shelter in Oregon. So that made my little fuzzy heart happy. Got to save the kitties, but and the people. There's just a special place in my heart for animals because they, they're defenseless. So we need to take care of them. We need to take care of the animals.
So what about the Rachel Morin case?
So
I know it's been covered a lot. I just saw Boulder and Betty's just was out there on that trail. JLR was out there on that trail. And we got the video of the guy in LA.
Yeah. And it almost you could see like a tiny bit of his nose and the side of his face. Like you just catch a glimpse of it. If you play that, when Dolly played it on repeat, there was one spot where you
The Dumpling actually played it better.
Okay, somebody played it
frame
on
by
repeat.
frame. And
And
there was something moving on the left-hand side.
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
what?
There was something down on the left-hand side that moved as he was going out. I don't know what it was. So
he had a gold chain on, and he did look, they say he's Hispanic, and he did look like he had darker skin. That was really all you can see. I think they know more and they're not releasing it, probably because the attack in Los Angeles was a minor. And so they're keeping.
Could have been that the minor knew the guy and the cops looked at their own video and that's how he got arrested.
Yeah. Wait, he didn't get arrested? Did they catch him?
No, he didn't get arrested, but he got charged. I mean, they got him on the video camera and they got his DNA.
Right, but they don't know his name yet.
No.
I mean, they don't have him yet.
He's not in CODIS.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about extra police presence on that trail after the fact. I mean, I think it was a random attack. Maybe he was watching her, maybe he wasn't. But it's like he's most likely long gone. And I don't know. It just seems weird to me that when they do that, because it's like, okay, that's probably not happening again right here. And they have
but they still got to do the police presence.
Yeah.
For the public to feel safe.
It's terrible. I hope
Hit that like button, you guys. Got 175 people.
Wow, thanks you guys.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming.
Do you want to bring anybody up?
Oh yeah. You guys don't want to listen to me anymore. I don't have much else to say. So if somebody wants to come up and shoot the shit, come on up.
I just posted the link. If anybody wants to come up, then you're not a troll, then you're not drunk.
No drunk trolls. Anybody else is fine.
What else we got to talk about?
Is Turtle Island on tonight?
I thought it was supposed to be tonight.
I know their birthdays are coming up.
Yeah, one of them's on Monday and one of them's on the 23rd.
So here's my thought, you guys. Dumplin is the favorite. Everybody knows Dumplin's the favorite. But you don't have to kick Mab to save Dumplin, okay? Just my personal opinion. You can save her without kicking him. So just, you know.
What was that one lady with that said Luna?
8 eggs. She bought 8 eggs to kick you.
Yeah,
Luna. Hey, girl.
Hi, I'm sorry.
You're a little dark.
My lighting is bad.
There we go.
How you doing, Luna Moon?
Oh, not there we are. Not too much.
There you are.
So, yeah. I had a day off today, so
Nice.
I just been hanging around doing this, that, and some laundry. Everything to get day off. Yeah.
So Mrs. MAB was doing laundry.
MAB. I really like it.
Thank you.
Mrs. MAB, you're getting it. You got a little crackle. You're a little nervous, aren't you?
I'm a little hot too. We turned off the air conditioner because it's noisy. It's hot in here.
I'm surprised you guys don't hear. Well, if anything, my fan is loud. I just got a new window air conditioner, but for that new one, I couldn't. There'd be no way I could, get up and talk to anybody with that thing going. But
right,
I think.
Yeah.
Where are you from, Luna?
Background,
what state are you from?
I'm in Ohio.
Oh, I used to live in Indiana, right next door.
Yep. Yeah, I'm right in the middle of Ohio. So obviously Columbus. I live on outside right now. I don't live in the city anymore.
There's like a theme park or whatever that, like roller coasters and shit we used to go to in Ohio.
Yeah. Well, which one? We got Cedar Point, which is north, like
Kings
Cleveland
Island.
area. Sandusky, I should say. And then Kings Island, which is down close to Cincinnati. Yeah, Kings Island's a little closer.
That's where I went, to Kings Island.
I've been going there, I do believe since they opened, if I remember right, or it might have been a couple of years afterwards. My parents took us and my sisters to there when we were, way young. I remember riding the kiddie rides and stuff like that, and then getting older and getting on the bigger ones. And to this day, I love roller coasters. I probably couldn't get on one right now without not being able to get out and walk again.
We have one of the oldest wooden roller coasters in the world in Santa Cruz, California. It's still operational. It's all built out of wood. It's like 100 years old.
Scary.
Cedar Point has one of their originals. I believe they still have it. It's all wood, old roller coaster. I think it was. I don't know. I've been there since they opened, so I don't even remember what when Cedar Point opened. I know they've been open a long time. They used to have a park over that's close to me at Buckeye Lake, but I don't remember it. And I think it was actually closed really before my time, I think, when I was born and stuff. So. But
Yeah.
Ohio has a lot of fun things to do. We've got a nice area, the Hocking Hills area. There's a really nice couple of parks with waterfalls, and there's what's called Old Man's Cave, and it's
I'm gonna dip
trails
out,
and
see if I
hiking
can
and
open a
stuff.
window or two.
You guys look like you're dying. Is your air
I'm gonna open
conditioner that
a window.
loud?
We're in separate rooms just
Uh-huh.
because we don't have our computer set up correctly, our good computer set up correctly. So I'm in a different room with the door shut so we don't get interference from each other. And so yeah, it's
Mhm.
warm. And we're not
Oh,
used to
yeah.
it. Like it's 80 and it's humid
Oh, I bet
and it's
you.
normally like 70 here. So
Well, you know what? I used to be I'm a summer baby. I'm born in July, and I love summertime. Love being out in the sun. I get as dark as you. So, well, not as dark as you. You got pretty dark when you came back from vacation.
yeah.
But
And
yeah,
I love it too.
uh-huh.
And it's just warm and hormones. So it's just warm.
Yeah,
Not,
that's
not
that's what
fun.
my problem is. And now I would rather it be cold all the time.
I know. And thank goodness my office, I mean, because we're wearing scrubs and masks and all this garbage.
Oh yeah, you still have to
Um,
wear masks. Mm.
we don't have to wear them all the time. But California
Well,
was the
just when
last
you're with
state.
patients, I can understand that. Well, that's good. I mean,
We
that's okay.
just
Wearing it.
in
Go ahead.
April we were finally allowed to take them off during the day and only wear them for patient care. But it's still warm, but luckily my
Mhm.
boss is all for having the air conditioner on most of the day, so it's not bad.
Yeah, most doctor offices or the dentist offices are kind of chilly,
Cold. That's
so I
because
understand.
it's very hot working with all that gear. But we have a
Hmm.
lot of elderly patients, and they come in, but they know we've kind of warned them, especially right after COVID. We have to keep the office cool, so bring a sweater. And so they do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yep. So the that young lady that was killed in Baltimore, that's it. It
Yeah.
triggered some memories for me. I had a very, very close friend. She was murdered
Ugh.
hiking,
Oh my God.
or not hiking, but jogging in a park by a 15-year-old kid that was pissed off at the world. Yeah, stabbed her like 20, I think it was 26 times,
Oh
and
my God.
unalived her. Hmm. Don't know, of course, you don't know why it happened, but they caught the boy, and he was 15 years old, living in a
Oh,
group home, taken from his family because his mother's, all those issues. So he's in a group home, and he's got very bad anger issues. And we don't even think she's seen it coming.
yeah. Like to
Like
think that
she
it
would have,
happened that fast. Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, he was a big boy for 15, good sized kid.
Yeah.
Um, but Jane had a good, she would have defended herself big, she would have tried, but there was no
Yeah.
defense wounds at all.
I am
So,
so sorry. That's terrible.
well, thank you. I couldn't believe it happened myself. I still can't believe it.
How long ago was this?
Um, it happened, let me think, about 13, 14 years ago now.
Okay.
It was right, I tell you, it was right around the time I quit drinking.
Mm.
It was like all these emotions going through me, other things had happened to me in that period of time. And then, I wake up one morning getting ready to go to work, and I always had the news on. I don't do that no more because it, just scares me. But they could said her name, and I looked over, and I'm like, murdered or killed or something like that in the park jogging. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
you can't believe it. But there's
No.
her face right on TV, and it's
Ah,
the face. See, I used to work with her, and we became very good friends. She was like a sister to me, and we even kind of looked alike a little bit. But we had, we clicked, But
yep.
crap happens.
Yep. I know I don't get ready with the news on anymore, but back years and years and years ago, my boyfriend at the time, he had his own business. And so, we'd both get up early and he would get ready for work and sit in the living room with the TV on, and I would get ready for work. And it was September 11th, 2001.
Ooh.
And we're in the living room watching the TV, just like, I cannot believe what is happening right now. And I had to go to work that day, and it was just like it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I remember my
I
mom's from New York, and I kept calling and calling and calling, and my mom is like, "What is going on?" Because she doesn't really watch TV, and I'm like, "Mom, you got to turn the TV on. You got to turn the TV on." So yeah.
I was with my fireman at the time, and he'd just come off duty, and he did a second job doing heating and cooling stuff,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, HVAC or whatever they call it.
HVAC something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he gave me a call because I was bartending at that time. So at that time in the morning, I was asleep, but he called me because he heard something on the radio. So I flipped on the TV, and the first tower was on fire. And I'm like, oh my God, it looks like a plane friggin' just, hit the
Right.
building accidentally or something, or there was a
It was
bomb.
an accident. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was an accident. Oh my goodness. And then I saw like bam. You remember that? Did you see that? And the second plane came in.
The second plane, yeah, because I actually went into work late that day, so I was able to sit and watch it for a little while. But yeah,
I didn't have to be at work until like 2 o'clock, I think it was, because I worked nights.
well, we were in California, so I think I went in at 9 in the morning, but it was already noon in New York, so a lot was going on. Yeah.
That's.
Hey, Chatty Jen, good to have you.
Here. All right.
Yeah, I remember that. What about the earthquake that took out our area?
What, your recent one?
No, this was in 89.
Where the freeway collapsed on top of each other.
Cipher structure.
Oh,
yeah.
I remember that.
Yep.
The
so
Bay Bridge.
The epicenter to that earthquake was about 5
I
miles from
my first thought was, oh my God, this people are really.
Yeah.
Wow. Just.
That was insane.
There's been a lot of, I mean, do you call them acts? Well, they're not accidents, or. Can you really call that an act of God? I should say.
Yeah, I was under a boat changing the rubber rollers, and I had the boat jacked up precariously, and I had the rubber rollers off, so I was in between the metal things that held the rollers in the boat. And my girlfriend at the time said, "Hey, the World Series is starting." So I ran in to watch the World Series, and right when I sat down, I got this feeling, run before it even started shaking. And I took off. I said, "Everybody out, get out of the house." And then it hit. Bam. Power went out.
I remember that. I don't remember if I actually seen that.
freezing
Yeah,
up a little.
or
that
seen a replay.
the
Because
World
it,
Series is what saved
it was
thousands and thousands of people because they were all at, I don't
all
remember what the
there.
stadium was called at the time, but they were all in San Francisco watching the game. So they were off the roads.
Yeah.
But the epicenter of that earthquake was in Santa Cruz, and that's where I
Loma
lived
Prieta.
with my mom.
Oh,
And
wow.
she is kind of a funny story. I was sitting on her bed and I was barefoot because I had just gotten off work. And she was just getting out of the shower because we were going to go to dinner. And so I'm sitting on her bed and she's in her bathroom, but she just walked out of the shower. So she didn't have any clothes on. And the house is kind of remote. And it started shaking and she just darted outside naked. And I'm sitting on the bed, kind of, and there's nobody around, there's property, but I'm sitting on the bed just kind of frozen. And then she has this giant mirror that was over her dresser that came down and broke. So there was glass everywhere. And I didn't have any shoes on. And so I was just stuck in the house. And so I just got under the door frame because that's what you're taught to do. And I just stood there while the earth was shaken. And my mom said she was outside screaming for me and not understanding why I wasn't coming outside. So then it finally stopped and she got dressed, and that house is on a well. And so when the power goes out, we don't have any water. And our next door neighbor at the time was from New York, and that was her first earthquake. And it was a 7.2. It was a huge earthquake. And so she came over freaking out. And the first thing my mom and I did is we just jumped in the car and went down to the store, and just this poor girl working at like the little corner store gas station. She was like 20 and completely freaked out. And we just ran in there and we grabbed all the water we could and we left her $20 and went back home. And that was that. And it was a mess. It was a mess.
Oh, wow.
And the aftershocks, and our neighbor was so freaked out. So she stayed with us. And
We had the flood this last winter that took out the road to the house.
You guys,
ever
get tornadoes?
No. And we've been in a perpetual drought since the 70s. And so for California, like we have a drought, and then we'll get a 30-year storm, and then we're in a drought for another 20 years, and then we get a giant storm. So this year they have a new name for it, I guess, an atmospheric river. And it was the worst. It was worse than any of the other storms we've ever had. So I don't think we're in a drought anymore.
We're always going to be in a drought according to the authorities.
So I don't think so either. Something funny's going on. I've been kind of following the story of Skinwalker Ranch. And with
I
all
have
the
too.
science
Oh, yeah.
I've watched every season.
On. Have you watched Beyond with Carl Crusher?
Carl Crusher? Yep.
Mm-hmm. He's doing the Beyond Skinwalker, I think, with Jeff, the guy that owns the Mount Wilson Ranch.
Mount Wilson
now
Ranch.
There he started getting water in that they call it Crawfish Creek, which had been dry for a long time, but they had that real big snow last year.
Changed the whole landscape. Now all kinds of artifacts are coming
Melted,
out of the ground.
and plus he helped it. Yeah, he
And
changed everything.
That
Do you
big metal
believe
thing?
this? Yeah, that's that was that radar thing. But he said that there are original apple trees there that were planted by Johnny Apple. Is that possible? To have trees that old? And he said they're getting ready to bear fruit.
We're not that far from there. I want to go and stay with Jeff and then.
Oh, that would be so fun. I'd want to go. I wouldn't mind going and getting lost. Come get me.
You're going to see the Native American shaman.
Yeah. I believe I have some ancestors, back in the day that went across, in the Trail of Tears.
Mm-hmm.
I have, you really can't detect the American Indian through DNA, but I have stories, and I do have it's Eastern Cherokee from a great grandmother, where she applied as they had to apply for something
Right.
for, I don't know what it was, but it's just some papers that you found when you search your genealogy and stuff. But she was, I'm trying to think, then she would have been my 5th great grandmother. So, but I mean, I look definitely German and Irish. I think I'm there's there's some sort of something there.
Mix.
Anyhow, where was I going with that? I lost myself.
Trail of Tears.
Oh, that's the Indians that's gone over towards because they pretty much annihilated the Cherokee on the west, out west. But it's interesting to know that how the American Indians are so involved with this. I mean, it's the Skinwalker was supposedly a curse, but yet now we got things humming, things glowing, lights coming out, going in one side of the mesa and coming out another.
Two
Phenomenally,
objects, APs going into the mesa. Remember that?
Yep. Yeah, I rewatch everything just so I'm like, I gotta go out there. God, my
Skinwalker
oldest
Ranch
son.
isn't very far from Mount Wilson Ranch either.
No, I believe they're not far. It's what, 80 miles from Area 51, if I remember.
Yeah. You ever hear of Blind Frog Ranch?
Yeah. Didn't Carl go there?
I don't know. Guy's name's Dwayne, I think.
What's it called? Blind Claw?
Frog.
Blind Frog.
Frog Ranch.
Yeah, I'm not. I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, look it
I'll
up
have
if you're
to
into
look it
that
up
kind of stuff.
because I woke up to watching something that came on YouTube because you know how it'll once a live or a video is over, it'll go to another one.
Right.
And usually because something you're in that you've been watching and stuff. But they were using a diagram of the United States, and it looked like they were starring everywhere they have that anomaly type, where everything is similar to what's going on at Mount Wilson and Skinwalker. And then isn't there a neighbor that there's actually a neighbor of Skinwalker Ranch that also sees everything, but I don't think they want to be out there talking about it. But it's a ranch right next door.
Right.
I even think the ranch manager has worked over there before, has helped him out.
Next to Skinwalker or next to Mount Wilson?
Next to Skinwalker. From what I understand, there are a couple ranches around there, around Skinwalker
That whole
Ranch.
Uintah
Skinwalker
Basin,
Ranch is huge.
that whole Uintah Basin is a kind of a hot spot for UAPs and stuff.
It is. It is. I mean, there's times that I've seen where the base is it's glowing.
Right.
I mean, it's just glowing. It's like you can't make that up. I don't know. I don't know.
How
And
do you
then
know
here
they're
comes,
blind? Zircon says, how do you know the blind frogs are blind? Because they can't see. Because they've been living in caves their whole life.
Isn't
From
that the
underneath
place
the water.
that has healing powers in the water?
Yes.
That's the one, the Blind Frog Ranch.
Yeah.
well, makes sense.
Yeah.
Each one of the places have special. There's a guy that believes he was abducted because now he can summon the orbs.
Really?
Now, if you've been watching was it Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, where the ex-CIA agent and the reporter go to Mount Wilson Ranch, and they start an investigation, which they're working with scientists and everybody. It's
You're
Breaking up a little bit,
Luna.
Luna.
Yeah, you're.
They meet with them at the end of each show and let them know,
Luna, your internet or something is real spotty. It's hard to hear.
yeah, let me jump down.
It's good having you.
Are you, let somebody else come up if they want to come up or whatnot.
Okay. It was good chatting
Nope.
with you. Yeah, it's hard to hear you. Getting towards the end, you were real spotty there.
Am I okay now?
I
Yeah.
think that's better. But you'll have to say something.
Yeah, I can see. I don't have any bars on my feet. I've got where I live at. I live on a little cabbage, or a little. I live in a cabbage. I live in a little cottage on my son's property, and I've got internet or those not internet, but what do you call them? The rotors.
The
I got
router.
3 rotors that this thing will bounce back and forth with, so that's probably what happens.
Routers.
Yeah.
Especially this late at night. And you guys look like you're dying.
I know. We're both fanning
Look at
ourselves. We're such wimps.
It's hot in here, and I open
It
up all
is
the
hot.
windows,
It's
and
like
there's
81
no
in our
wind,
house,
and it's
so-
still hot outside.
Yeah.
So, I would be
Very
dying.
rare.
It'd be all over.
Yeah. It's
It'd be all
getting
over.
warm. We might have to do something about this.
Yeah,
That's
and
funny.
just think, is your heat? Do you have humidity there? You don't have any humidity.
Yeah, it's
Do you?
really humid today because of the hurricane that's
Oh,
at
yeah,
Baja,
we got moisture.
California. That's what's
Mhm.
going on here is we had some rain, we had the thunder this morning, and it's been hot and humid today, and we're just not used to it.
Right now, it should be
It'd be
like
very comfortable.
65
81
out,
would be
not
great
80.
for me. It's getting like 90. It's going to be up in the 90s, I do believe, next week. And the
Yeah,
humidity is always at least 50%.
it's supposed to. This
And I
is
just
so we get the fog because we're by the ocean, so we get fog most mornings. Like our summers are typically really cool and foggy, and usually September is when it gets hot. And so, we're getting towards the end of August, so the temperatures are going up. So probably for the next 6 or 7 weeks, we get our Indian summer, and then fall, which is usually our nicest time of year because we don't get the fog. But it doesn't usually get that hot here. So when we get these few days where it's 80 plus, it's like everybody's melting.
We have 90 plus sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it never used to be like that. I swear I could go outside and I don't remember it ever being hot and sweaty like that when I was younger.
You don't really feel it when you're a kid.
I think you tolerate it better as a kid.
That's possible, yeah.
So.
Right on, Zircon. Hey, Jeannie Ange.
Yeah, of course, I was at a swimming pool every day anyways. So,
Oh, nice.
and then by the time you get home, I tell you, you can sleep so good.
That sounds nice.
But I'm gonna go ahead and hop down. It was
All right.
nice talking to you. Thanks for having me up.
Yeah,
appreciate
it's
it. I
nice
look
talking to you
forward-
too.
I look forward to seeing your lives, Mab,
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Mab. All right.
Thank you, Luna.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Just us now.
It's just us. Well, what are you thinking?
Does anybody else want to come up? We're getting almost to an hour,
Yeah,
and it's hot as hell.
we may want to call it a night. I'm gonna pull a PJ because I gotta work tomorrow. So
Okay,
so
you guys.
I gotta get ready for bed at 8 o'clock. No, this was super fun. I really appreciate everybody coming. I wish I could see the chat, but this is very fun. I'm glad you guys are here. We'll be back.
Well,
I don't know when.
The technology will get better from here. We're just using 2 iPads, and that's it. And I'm
Yeah,
just
we're
figuring
looking
out-
into it. We're
I'm
doing our
just
research.
figuring out StreamYard, so it will get better. I promise. Sub up, subscribe, hit the like button, all that bullshit. And we'll see you the next time.
All right. Good night,
Peace.
guys. Have a good week.